Well, collectors, welcome to the Cornfield Show, OVMS in Wilmington, Ohio. Today, I think, is November the 4th, 2021, and it's only setup day, and I have to say there's quite a crowd here, and we've only been open a couple of hours and sold a lot of daggers, so it's going to be a good show. Even if it isn't, we already had a good show. So I hope that we can walk around a little bit and show you what's here. We'll do our usual thing. And then when we get home, we'll do an unboxing. I know you all like that stuff, because we did buy a lot of things last night, so we'll see. We just got started here, and who do we run into? You're not going to recognize this guy. What happened to your locks, Joe?
Old age. It's falling out.
You know what I want you to do, too? People keep asking me for your email.
Okay.
All right, give me your name.
Joe Polsinelli, AOL.com. Polsinelli.
P-O-L-S-I-N-E-L-L-I. Because a lot of people keep
Really?
They do. You're a superstar and don't know it.
Maybe I should be on your payroll.
No. What did you bring today? You got something?
Yeah, I got a few things you might like to see.
Can we go look? I haven't seen this, collector, so we have no idea what Mr. Joe's going to show us, but usually he's got some cool things.
Let's start off with something easy.
Well, it looks like a bayonet to me. Wow, a bayonet. It's in nice condition, and it's got the original felt in it, too.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah, either that or you know how to drill holes to look like moth eating in the felt.
Now, Tom, who's the maker? You can just tell me. Look at who's the maker. You can
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I know now, of
Who
course.
is it?
Yeah, it's Acorn. Aha, that I've never seen. So we're looking at something here, collectors, where most of us don't associate Acorn with using retailers.
Correct.
And this is what's happened here. What's the name of this retailer, Joe?
Kerna.
Kerna.
Looks like there's two crossed axes or swords.
I've never seen it before, and it's a pattern 3219, the most common etch pattern. We'll turn it over. You can see it's got the 3219. It always has the Wehrmacht eagles flanking the standard remembrance. And as usual with something that Joe will have, it's in mint condition here, looks to me. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never seen that.
Neither have I. I checked with Wayne Techet on that, 100%.
He never sold it?
But he's seen distributor marks, but never this particular one.
Yeah.
Went right to a retail shop or a uniform shop.
Got anything else?
Well, okay. Let's see.
Oh, look at here. Wow. Boy, this is sensational. See, collectors, what this is a sword sample that a salesman would carry. And it's got the, what we call the rune pattern. I believe it's a rune in it, yeah. And this is the proper tag that would go with the sword that Acorn used, as well as the bag that goes over it. But you can see with samples, they rounded the blade, and you know it's not something somebody just did because it's plated all the way around the rounding section. There's the Acorn trademark. Boy, that's a nice thing, Joe.
Isn't it?
Yeah, the condition is really great. Yeah.
Well, Tom, you know me with tagged and bagged.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Here's another Acorn bayonet, one of my favorites.
Oh, with the airplane.
The observation plane.
Yeah.
You can actually see the swastika in the tail
Of the airplane.
Yeah, these guys were.
is so good.
These guys are such masters.
I don't think Robbie got that etching in the tail. Let's see.
Oh.
Can you see that, collectors, where the swastika is actually in the tail? And remember, this is all done with acid and a template. It's just amazing that they could get this kind of clarity, isn't it?
Sure is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a nice bayonet. I like that. You don't see that airplane pattern much either.
No, 3221, the model number.
Oh, it looks like you got a Robert Class too.
Robert Class. This is their model 1264
Yeah.
in Tech Ed book with the remembrance motto in the fuller.
They're the only producer that made a bayonet with that type of
That is
shape.
correct. I don't think it was a big seller.
You don't
but
see too many
you
of
don't
them,
see
but they're
too
very
many.
popular.
Yeah.
Bayonet collectors want that model.
Yeah, and especially when it comes with a mint scabbard and
A tag, huh?
a tag.
Yeah.
Well,
Very nice, Joe.
well, thank you. Thank
Very
you.
nice.
To rearrange some stuff here. Now, Tom, you don't think I'd just come and show you some of this stuff?
I was going to ask what's under
There's a
there.
little bit more.
All right.
Okay.
Lay it on us, Joe.
Lay it on you.
Yep. Oh, boy. Oh, my. Oh, and the square buckles, too. Oh, my. Wow. The knot's real, too. Collectors, this is a second model railway Bonschutz railway protection. It's an Eichhorn piece. And when you're looking at these, can I show them
Absolutely,
that little flaw,
please do.
Joe?
Casting cloth.
I don't want to touch the blade here, but when you look at an Eichhorn piece, if you look just to the left of the wheel on the crossguard, see that little flaw in there? It's a casting flaw, and I'm sure Eichhorn noticed it was in there, but do you think they'd fix it? No. Everyone that's Eichhorn will have that flaw. These are all aluminum parts, and the scabbards are steel, and they're plated in an aluminum type plating to match the hilt. And just look at the condition of this. It's absolutely wonderful. Man, this thing is like brand new.
It's,
Incredible.
I believe they were introduced in 1938, Tom.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, they used basically a standard Army dagger with a black or dark purple
Right.
grip.
Yeah.
And I believe this is a dark purple.
They say that. I've never
It's-
been able to see the
It's
purple in
tough.
it, but maybe
Which
it's my
supposedly
eyes.
matches the stitching.
Well, I don't know. And by the way, too, collectors, this is an original railway portapee, which is terribly difficult to find. And I've sold these knots, Joe, for $1,500, and they go right away.
There you go.
People are really looking for them. And what else is with the dagger? That's these are the Bonschutz hangers, but this is the set that you almost never see. Normally, the Bonschutz hangers will have oval
Correct.
buckles.
These are rare
And
rectangular.
These are rectangular, and they're better made than the other types too, with a really fine nickel finish, and black on the reverse, of course. And a set of hangers like this is really, really hard to find. This is one of the most magnificent second models I've ever seen, and with everything.
Everything.
That is. Where did you ever find that, Joe? Not telling. Okay, I see that. See how he is. I like that dagger a lot.
Tom, it's a curse. It's a curse. Yeah.
No, that's
It's a fabulous piece. I mean, it speaks for itself.
I would have to put that one in my personal collection. It's just too good to sell.
Wouldn't that be something to sell to Tom with?
I didn't say I'd buy it.
Oh, okay.
That is nice. That would tempt me.
Maybe
Oh,
some.
I forgot to mention too. He's got the bag with it also.
Oh, dude, yes.
So
Bag and tag.
yeah.
And Tom, actually, at home, I actually have the original brown paper,
Yeah.
wrapping paper that came with that, but I just didn't bring that.
You know, the dagger's in such condition, I'm not surprised that it was in the paper, because it's
Yeah.
really, really good. Well, sir, I think you've done it again.
Well, thank you, Tom, for your time. Have a great show. It's great seeing you. Robbie as well.
You collectors, you have his email now. If you want to contact him about stuff, he's always happy to hear from people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Man.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you. Well, we're over here. We're still in the Cornfield Show, and we've come over to see a great man who's an expert on metals. And you want to introduce yourself, please, to our audience here. You guys may already know this guy.
I'm Dave Wyatt from Epic Artifacts.
What's your email also, Dave?
It's info@epicartifacts.com.
Okay. I know you collectors know that I'm no expert on metals, and when I do get them, this is the man that I come to find out whether they're good or bad. Unfortunately, it seems like a large quantity of them are bad, and that's kind of the way it is, isn't it, in this marketplace?
It is.
What can you suggest to collectors that are just getting started with metals? How do they approach the subject? Because it's really scary.
It's definitely a scientific approach these days. Some of the best advice I was given years ago was not to focus on the broader, in a broad sense, the different metals themselves, but kind of just choose one, if it be a pilot badge or an infantry assault badge, and learn the various makers and the differences between them, the hardwares and the finishes that they use, and then it just, once you build a base, you go to the next one, you work your way out.
So let's say you focus in on one particular maker, they'll have a certain kind of a catch and a pin and
Correct.
a hinge, and the finish is different than, say, another maker. Is that
Correct.
That seems very sensible. So if you got used to looking at that one particular type, then at least you would know
Right.
what not is. Yeah.
It's the different characteristics between the makers. Junkers are pretty distinct, especially with their hardware.
Junkers is a big name.
It is
too,
a big
right?
name.
Yeah.
It's really the brand name, especially for Luftwaffe badges and Knights Crosses. But for the early Junkers, they used these round wire brass C catches.
Yeah, that's an unusual looking catch too, isn't it? And
That's-
then you only see that on Junkers usually?
Junkers you'll see this style, how they bend it. It's this C type, so elongated C type. You will see some variations in it, but this is pretty classic. And then Junker rivets, the size, it's as well. They have a
They're
pinch
kind of
mark.
dome head, aren't they? Sort of.
They
or-
actually have a slight flat top to them,
Yeah.
and they have a little. Sometimes you could see a pinch mark, but they're very distinct.
And are they always that way?
They are. They're always that way.
Does that mean they had the same riveter or the same machine that did it, or?
As far as we know, Junker rivets they're unique. No other manufacturer uses them or the finishing technique.
That's good to know. And how about the hinge? It's a barrel hinge. Is that any different than any other barrel hinges?
The length of it is,
Because it does look long.
compared to other makers, they do look pretty close in length, but Junker hinges are the size of them, they're a little bit different.
I noticed one time I bought a Junker badge, and it turned out to be fake. And I said, "Well, why is it fake?" And they said, "Well, their name is C.E. Junker, and they had a period after the C and a period after the E, and on your medal there's no period." So it's kind of a stupid thing that I should have known. Anybody should have known that, but if you're not used to it, that's the way it is.
Yeah, well, that's another thing with these Junkers. An easy thing to pick out. I don't know if this is going to be a good one or not. On the maker mark of the Junkers, the earlier there are two different types of maker marks, but on the earlier ones, the L in Berlin, the top of the L is actually canted backwards.
Oh, really? That's an interesting thing.
That's an easy
and
thing.
it should be that way then.
It should be canted. If you see it where it's now on the later type, it is
Can we
fixed.
get that in there, Rob, on the camera? See that L? Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay.
I noticed this is another badge, but it does have those same rivets.
Yeah.
Yep. And the catch is kind of the same way too.
It's interesting too with this one. You could see where they actually applied the barrel first, and then they cut it for the pin. You see how they cut it off center. This one side is longer than this side.
Oh. So that shows handwork?
It is handwork. They apply the hinge first, and then they cut it You'll see it on their combat badges as well.
Is there anything that's particularly lustrous about the obverse of a Junker badge compared to others, or anything that's
The design.
telltale?
The designs of them, I think the designs they're pretty appealing.
Now this is a pilot's badge,
This is
right?
a pilot. It's a J1 thin wreath with the thin wreath or the thinner eagles.
But it
first
looks
pattern.
like with the finish and all, it was an earlier made badge, would you say?
These
or-
are.
Yeah.
They're 36, I believe. That right around 39 is when they started going to the second patterns.
And the second patterns are what? Pot metal or something?
No, they still used a nickel silver or a brass base.
Yeah.
It has the better finishes. And some held finishes better than others.
Yeah.
But as the war started progressing, that's when they started switching into zinc. Some of the pre-war ones you will find in aluminum also.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't have any aluminums at the moment.
Well, I would think that a lot of collectors, they get a Luftwaffe dagger or they get a Luftwaffe tunic or something or a cap, they would kind of want a Luftwaffe pilot's badge. Isn't that a popular badge?
It is a popular badge.
Yeah. And popularly reproduced, too.
They are. They are. It's all reproduced now.
Oh, boy. Well, what else can you show us that's interesting? I see you got a whole bag of RZM marked, what are they, cap eagles?
They are.
Yeah.
These came, we actually picked up a large collection in Nebraska, and about a dozen of these came out. Most of them were still sealed. This was one of the ones that was busted open. But
Boy,
that's
isn't that
how they were.
Yeah, the finish is beautiful.
What's really interesting is most of the pins have not been turned over.
Oh,
And that's how they were stacked in there. The pins were straight out. I don't know how this one got bent.
he's talking about the stick pins on the back, collectors. See that? Those went in through the cap and the prongs were bent over inside. And it seems odd that they wouldn't bend them over for storage purposes. It makes it so much more bulky.
You would think.
But that's the Germans, I guess.
That's how they packed them.
Yeah.
It still has the label.
Well, look at that. Hoheits ab Zeichen. Wow, whatever that means. That's interesting. I've never seen anything like that before.
It's the only time we've seen them. And you can imagine these thin paper bags would just be trashed quickly.
I see something too. These boxes that have this OLC on them. What does that mean? Was OLC a maker of boxes, or did they make medals, or why do some boxes have that on them?
These are actually it's LDO,
LDO, okay.
and that's for the private purchase market. So
meaning what?
if you were awarded the badge and then you wanted to go purchase it again, you'd have LDO shops in Germany, and you'd be able to walk in and present the documentation that you were awarded that award.
Ah, that's interesting. I never knew
Purchase.
that.
It's,
So when you see that box with an original medal in it, someone maybe got a second copy.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So an issue medal would not normally have the LD, what is it?
LDO?
LDO
Usually
one?
not.
Usually not. Wow.
Now, I mean, if you get into Knight's Crosses, the L12 Junkers, you will see the L12s, and they were originally produced for the aftermarket. However, they quickly pulled them, and they regulated them a bit more than just the rest of the metal.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. These German orders are very, very beautiful. Are there many copies of those?
they're around, but they're pretty easy to tell a copy from an original. The originals are very well made.
I think when they have all the enamel around the swastika and so forth, that's a good sign to look for.
It is.
Yeah. And the eagles are beautifully done between the legs. And
Yeah, they're
are
very,
they normally cased when you find them?
typically no.
No.
Usually you'll find them loose. Now the cases are tougher to find, and that goes with most of this stuff, as you know. The cases can be pretty hard.
When you first got into this, assuming that you kind of knew nothing about it, what attracted you to something so complicated as this really is?
The metals?
Yeah. What would I know they look cool, but you
Yeah.
also know if you get stuck, it's a big amount of money to lose too.
Well, I learned a hard lesson years ago. That's my approach changed since then. I guess I think I went to a Pikesville show in Maryland.
Oh, I remember those. Oh yeah.
I was 13, and my grandfather took me, and I just remember seeing all these different designs, and each design had its, whether you're an infantry or a Panzer guy.
And that had appealed to you right away.
And I wanted one of each. It just grew from there. But yeah, I got.
So you've been collecting since you were 13 then, apparently. Yeah, that's a long time.
It's quite a while.
Do you ever feel when you're collecting medals that you're completely comfortable with it?
There's always something to learn.
It's that way in daggers too. There's always things, as long as I've been in it, that every once in a while you see something, God, I never saw that before. And it turns out to be right too.
It does. We're always learning new things, new makers, new variants. It's always coming out.
Collectors have a way of whether it be a medal or dagger or whatever it is. If it's something they've never seen before, it can't be any good. And that's not really the way to approach the subject, because you really never will see everything. At least that's been my experience. Well, this has been good. You have a great assortment of the naval and infantry assault here, Panzer assaults. These Navy badges, you really have to watch out for, don't you? They seem to be the most reproduced, it seems like to me.
They reproduce them all, but sometimes the Navies they can be tougher.
Yeah. And the problem with them is too, they're so pretty with those gilt wreaths and the gray contrast on the, and it's easy to fall into it.
To be drawn to them.
Yeah. You have a website and all, right?
We do. EpicArtifacts.com.
This is for people that may want to get started in metals. You just can't go to a show and buy something from some guy sitting behind a table that's grunting something at you, or take it or leave it, or I'll give it to you for $50, because you got to know what you're doing. You have to learn something, and the best thing you can do is to contact somebody like Dave, maybe buy one or two medals from him and get Dave to tell you what it is about them that's good and what to look for when they're not good. And little by little by little, you'll start to gain a little confidence in the hobby, but you cannot drift around in this sector of the hobby without doing your homework.
No.
You must.
You will learn very quickly.
Yeah.
The wrong way.
It's amazing how you lose several $1,000s, and boy, you really remember that, don't you?
Oh, yes you do. Yes you do.
Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate your time, and you having a good show?
It's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good, as always.
We've done quite well too, so we're happy. Well, it's good to talk to you, Dave.
Yeah, it was good talking
Thank
to
you,
you,
sir.
Tom.
Appreciate it. So there you go, collectors. Well, collectors, we're here at the Cornfield Show on Saturday morning, and I've had a number of SS flags over the years, but you really got to be careful with them because there's an awful lot of reproductions. But this is something we just acquired. It's really interesting with the double circles around the runes. Everything is separately done. It's got a little mothing that you can see, but it's also double-sided. See, the same on the other side. But what's also interesting with it too, it has a tunnel hoist on this end of it, which would have meant that it would have been hung up as a banner from this end, and display lengthwise. And original SS flags, let me tell you, they are really, really rare, and I'm very pleased to get this example. It's really something. Make a great display for somebody that has an SS collection. What a backdrop it would be on the wall. We're going to run around and talk to some people here and see if we can get some more things that are interesting for you. Well, collectors, there's a little lull in the show here, and Robbie thought that maybe you'd like to see an early glider pilot dagger and see how some of the markings are on them. So we'll show you a piece here that's pretty interesting. We just acquired this not too long ago, and you can see it has very early fittings, the nickel fittings, and the scabbard leather and the grip leather is in perfect condition. It's really nice. And what I like to see on most of these, you'll see the letter K stamped on the end of the cross guard. And what that was, all DLV daggers for the most part are identical because there was one producer that made all the fittings and everybody else bought the fittings from that producer. So that's why you see the K there. And now on these real early pieces, if you look on the opposite cross guard, I don't know whether the camera can pick it up, but you'll also see there's a little Waffen amp there. It's like a letter H with inside of the H is an F, letter F, and then I think 19, although I'd have to look real close. And you also see that if you look on the scabbard throat, there's also a matching Waffen amp on there. Camera see that? And then in addition to that, of course, there's the DLV stamping, but on this piece, you see the lettering TS. This was a Schule, a school, technical school, number 1, and then the accountability number 271. And if you look on the cross guards here, the bottom of the cross guards, you'll see, yes, you'll see the TS1 there also. And then on the other side of the cross guard is a number which doesn't really match the scabbard number, but that's okay because these daggers were owned by the school. That's why they're stamped that way. And over the years, things got mixed up because it was just an inventory of glider pilot knives. And this piece was made by SMF also. They made a lot of glider pilot knives. So I thought that would be interesting to you because you usually don't see them with this much markings on them. And I know how you guys are. You love stampings. I know I do. Well, we're here with one of my really good customers, Mr. Dan Sabasta. Is that pronounced right? Yep. Dan's one of those guys. He calls up, it seems at least once a month, and puts something on layaway or pays something off, and it just keeps the vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle. Yeah. I can't stay away from you.
Yeah. How long you been collecting, Dan?
About 3 years now.
Oh, that's good. So you're not an old timer then.
One day I will be.
Yeah. You're enjoying it, I assume?
I love it. I can't stay away. I'm on your website every day and other people's websites, just constantly reading, trying to get as much info as I can.
Yeah. Do you start to feel comfortable now with what you're doing? It takes a while to...
Yeah, so like I was at a gun show and some guy had a chained SS dagger, and I was all excited because I've never seen one in person. Yeah. The more I looked at it, the more I was like, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and it's all from your website.
Knowledge is the king. That's what I try to do. If we can teach collectors something that, even if it's one thing that they can look for, sometimes that's enough to know that you either don't want to buy it or you do want to buy it.
Right.
So, you got anything you want to show us at all, Dan?
Yeah. I'd like to show you a bayonet. I'll let you open it.
All right. Let's see see what we got here. Wow. See, now this is really nice. See, collectors, the scabbard paint is in terrific condition. It has stag grips, and by the looks of the rivets that hold it, it's probably going to be an E-pack piece, I would think, but maybe not. It could be something that with a retailer, but Pack made this.
Okay.
Yeah, the finish is good, and see, it's got the spanners on the other side. That's a typical Pack treatment. They were the only company that did that. Wow. We have a.
That's not in Touch's book.
No. Yeah, this is. I'm not so sure about this one, Dan.
Pioneer.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it. Yeah, it's a Pioneer etch. But it could be okay. I don't know. It's a very unusual to see a class blade with a Pack type fittings, and I've never seen this etch listed in the class book either. So
It's not in there. I have the book and I
Yeah.
looked in it.
Yeah, I would talk to Wayne Teckett about that one and see what he thinks.
Okay.
Yeah. You got a return privilege if it turns out to be not so good?
I do.
Okay, make sure you get that, because it could be good, but it has just what we were talking about before, unusual features that you really don't normally see. So get that checked out.
Okay.
I hope it's a good one though.
I do too.
Yeah, because a Pioneer is very hard to find, but that's why they also make the copies too.
Okay. Well, thank you for looking at that. I appreciate that.
Thank you, and I hope it turns out to be good, Dan.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Well, we were stopped by here at this table. I mean, how often do you see bazookas here? What are you doing with this, sir?
Well, I've got two of them. I
Got
just
two of them?
Yeah, right, one over there.
man.
Just picked them up over there this morning, and just seeing if I can flip it already. Hopefully, it's a Spanish Instalaza is the model.
Yeah.
I believe this is like 3.5 inch caliber.
And is it World War II?
No, this is I believe 1978 dated.
Oh, I see.
1978. No, the 3.5 inchers didn't come out till after the war because that was armor got thicker and you needed something with more punch. It's more or less actually disassembles into two pieces,
Wow.
so easier to package, take along with you.
Easier to carry, yeah.
These have a nice optical sight, but other than that, they're almost a copy of the American model, which is what that one is.
How does the sight work?
Just a scope. You just basically look through like that, and it's got like a gradients for range, so you aim a little higher if it's farther away, so to account for the drop.
Would a big guy like you be assigned something like this?
Probably.
you,
Probably.
yeah.
There's a photo
But
of.
you look like you can handle it. I'd look like a fool with it on.
They're very light when they're unloaded. It's almost aluminum.
Oh, I
It's very.
see
You can
that.
just It's very light. The American ones are incredibly light too.
Wow, that's really something. You obviously specialize in this kind of stuff.
I specialize in anything I can make money on, but I love ordnance.
My man, all right. A man after my own heart.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Joshua, is it?
Just Josh is fine.
Josh is good.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice talking to you again, Tom.
Yes, sir. Well, collectors, we've stopped at this table because this uniform attracted us. How could it not? This, you can see the rank is a General Major, and it belonged to a man who's quite famous, Walter Kruger. K-R-U-G-E-R, I think it's spelled. K-R-U with an umlaut, G-E-R. Beautiful insignia and the boards. The two pips would be General Major. And the cap is really a nice. It's got a little bit of light mothing, but it's not bad. Beautiful gilt insignia with the gilt cords. The inside still has the sweat diamond and name to General Major Kruger. And look who made the hat too, Errol. Just doesn't get any nicer than that. beautiful bird. Breast eagle was really nice. The gilt buttons. Yeah, that's a terrific terrific outfit. And it comes with the riding breeches with the general stripe on them. Got the zippers on the side so you can slip them into your boots. And then it's got the suede insert. You know, really nice. Still has the braces on it, or suspenders. Yeah, that's a nice pair of breeches there. Wow. Well, for somebody looking for something really good, that appeals to me. That's a wonderful outfit. Yes, sir. Well, we're stopping by here at a table. It's when I walked by here at first, I thought this was just an NSDAP small flag, and then Robbie, with his good eye, looked a little closer. And what we have here is it's a canvas section cut out of the tail of this type of airplane. You can see there it is on the tail, and it comes from a veteran, and there's also a postcard from the veteran that talks about it. So it's that's really kind of a cool thing. Not many airplane parts like that around. Isn't that neat, guys? I think it is. Hey, we're talking here. What's your name?
Stan.
Yes. Stan was saying earlier, he was over at my table and he was wondering if there were any decent police bayonets around this show. And he just came up to me. He said, "What do you think of this, Tom?" And he not only got a decent police bayonet, but this is really something that's tough to find. When we look at a bayonet like this, you'll notice that it's a lot smaller proportion than what the large ones that were cut down and so forth. And that's because this was made this way during the Third Reich time. It's not a bayonet that comes from the Weimar period that was altered. It has beautiful workmanship in the pommel, fantastic stag grip plates, and you can see that the aluminum grip eagle, it's pinned in. See how it wiggles slightly? Mm-hmm. That's what you like to see, hardly any wear. And I've had a lot of bayonets over the years, and I've learned that when you see a lower bayonet fitting that is circular like this instead of normally scalloped like most of them are, that is a WKC trait. Only WKC made their bayonets with this circular edge. Also, the lug is a typical WKC type. And then when we open it up, we got a nice short blade with a wide fuller, and it is a WKC. What's also nice, it even has a buffer. Most police bayonets, they didn't bother with a buffer, but because this was made for an officer, it's a little more quality, you know? Mm-hmm. So, how did you get this? You said you did what? You traded what?
Traded it. I had an old Black Widow Luger holster, and I no need for it any longer. And I thought maybe I'd give it a shot, and I did. And
I'm not a holster guy, but I think Luger holsters in general are $500 or $600 in that area.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, a bayonet like this is a $1,200–1,300 bayonet. So
that's good news.
You did pretty good, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Stan.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Good luck with that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You scored not 100%, but 150%.
Well, that's I like to do that sometimes. Yeah.
Every so often we all get lucky.
Well, if we do, yeah, right.
We all step in something once in a while.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And a show wouldn't be complete without us coming over to see my friend Walter. How are you, Walter?
Good, Tom. Good to see you guys.
See you, yeah. I see that you've picked up some interesting daggers here. And,
yeah, I've been lucky to get some SS's and the one in your hand, which is...
We'll show you this one first. You say, just an SA dagger, nice condition, not bad at all, early. But then when you turn it over, ba-boom. This is a full room, and it's produced by the Mausch and Almbrome company, which you're going to say, oh, I never heard of a full room by that company.
Exactly.
But they could, any company could order a room etch. There were etchers that were hired by the city of Solingen that had a license for that. So probably Mausch and Almbrome, they may have had an order for a couple of dozen of them, and so that's what you see. So it's a nice, very nice original piece in good condition. And this is
That's so
beautiful.
unique that it's in beautiful condition and it's an issue one.
You very rarely see an early vertical hanger. This is the initial production type with the solid nickel clip, where the belt buckle strap is still in perfect condition, the retainer strap, and then it also is SS marked inside. And a hanger like this anymore, I mean, you're looking at $500, you know.
I wouldn't sell it for less, that's
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it's just, that's a great thing to complete your early SS dagger.
All right.
Good thing, Walter. And let's see what we got here. We got a couple of SS's. Yeah, take these away and don't drop them. This is a later made mid-period SS. You can see the blade is really nice. The grip is nice. It has a little lift here, but on a dagger of this vintage, you have plated cross guards, and then on the reverse, it's a Carl Eichhorn double proof, and collectors really like that.
Yes, that's a super one. Yeah.
They're very, and the blade is absolutely terrific. Really, really in nice condition. The scabbard is not great, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it was carried, so.
Yeah, it was carried, and it has a vertical too. It's also from the period. Let's see what else is here. This is a hemisphere that's been ground. It probably once had a Roman inscription, and you'll notice that the blade is short. And I've told you this many times, guys, that when they ground the blades, a lot of times they also broke the tip off to dishonor it. And then later on, when the dagger came back, it's liberated, somebody re-tipped it. But it is what it is, and it's what you see.
It's an honest piece.
It's an honest piece, yeah. Don't break it. Let's see what we got next here. This is a Robert Class example. It has the anodized scabbard, the group number 1 on the back. Show you the other side of the grip, the nice nickel eagle with it, and good rooms. I could also point out that I believe the blade tip has been redone on that. It may have been dropped sometime. It doesn't look too short.
No, it's probably just the very tip.
Just the very, very tip. But that's a decent dagger. In fact, it's a nice dagger.
Yes.
So what else you got, Walter? It's unusual for Walter to have all these SS daggers.
Exactly.
What'd you do? Run into a good luck charm or something?
No,
or?
it was just one of those things where I traded into
I
the
see.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Because I had some really good SS stuff, and you know, he said, "What can I trade you for this stuff?" And I said, "Go daggers."
Yep. Here we have one of the 121-34 types. The blade could be a little better, but you can see it's an original one. Remember, I told you with these, they're not read this way; they're read toward the blade,
Right.
and the reproductions they make are going the wrong way. So you can tell right away. It's an early dagger. It's got the same qualities as any 34 or 35 made dagger. It's got a nice vertical hanger on it. They also came painted or anodized, this type of dagger. So this fits right in. And we got one more here. This is a nice early dagger with all the nickel mounts, a nice early vertical hanger. The motto is good, and when we look on the reverse here, you don't see this maker much in SS's. It's an EP and S. They made a lot of SA daggers. You see a million EP and S SAs, but not too many SS. EPAC didn't make too many, so that's kind of a nice thing. And let's just see how it goes in the scabbard. I always like to, yeah, if you're going to buy a dagger, try to put it in the scabbard and
it's a
see,
nice fit.
nice
Yep.
click.
Yep.
You know, that's and this is something collectors you see a lot. With the SS runes on early daggers, a lot of times the runes are turned to about 7 o'clock, sometimes even 8 o'clock. And we think that was because when they were issued with the short hanger. The vertical hanger came later. And if you wore it from the short hanger, it was worn at an angle.
Right.
So if you had the
runes
SS2,
look-
then they were straight up and down. So that's what we think is, because it's not just coincidence that most of the early ones have that turn.
Anything the Germans do was not by coincidence.
Yes, that's for sure. Oh boy, collectors. Another tiring show, but we finally made it home. And now all the work starts. Got to figure out what we bought, and how much we paid for it, and what we sold. And then we got to do an unboxing video too, which will be coming up next. So we'll see you all on the unboxing video, and I hope everything's good with you. Thanks a lot.